Support WrestleTalk!
Be kind to each other in the comments. I'm going to put this out on Front Street right away. This was Luke's suggestion for a title. I'm throwing you under the bus. I love everything AEW do. They got me into the Christian versus Omega feud, actually. But Luke thinks otherwise. That's why we're talking about, is Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage at All Out a mistake on AEW's part? I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by lukewarm Luke Owen. Please subscribe. Give us a subscribe, gang. We're on the march to 55K.
Oh, and boy, howdy, do you want to be subscribing right now? In fact, I'm actually just going to do a little tease of something right here. This is why you want to be subscribing. Look at this. This is next week's schedule that we've got lined up. That is WrestleMania 50K day. We've got Raw the following day, NXT review and SummerSlam predictions, the AEW Dynamite review, live reactions to both SmackDown and AEW Rampage, thought to be the CM Punk debut. Then we've got the SmackDown review the following day with the SummerSlam reactions, a SummerSlam review the following day with the NXT 36 reactions like that night as well. That is this right here, this Monday, that's a 12-hour stream to celebrate us hitting 50K subscribers. Big time to get on board. Get on board. So please do subscribe if you haven't already.
Subscribe if for no other reason than the amount of layers Luke had on that Photoshop project. That is a marvel, and it demands you to enable notifications to always on for this channel. Also, of course, get your Omega chats in to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them over $5 US. None of your Canadian or Australian stuff. $5
They're not worth anything.
So, let's go through what happened here first, and then Luke can make his argument why he hates it. Mm-hmm. So, fantastic opening match. We'll talk about that more later. It's the Elite versus Dante Martin and the Seidel brothers. After that, Christian Cage comes out, interrupts a Don Callis promo, and Jurassic Express accompany him eventually. And Christian and Don Callis have this really good back and forth, and Christian, sort of setting up the all-out match, which no one was into. Not even the crowd there, because they all started chanting CM Punk, and yes.
They also booed the announcement as well, because commentary had said it earlier in the match. Like at the start of the match, they had said it's going to be Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage at All Out. And I was like, huh. And then when Christian Cage made the announcement, because obviously that was the first time the crowd had heard it, they done booed.
It's quite rare for an AEW crowd to boo AEW booking.
Yeah.
It's not just WWE's ballpark. Anyway, they had a plan, some layers of booking to get around this. And I think they did a good job of it, which is that Christian and Omega will actually face each other, additionally, this Friday. So tomorrow, on the debut episode of Rampage, by all accounts, it's going to open the show because the main event's going to be Britt Baker in Britsburg taking on Red Velvet for the women's title. But the kicker is, it's going to be for the Impact World Championship, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and, this is the first episode of Rampage. This is a brand new show. So perhaps they may want to kick this off with a title change, make people think that you want to be watching these sorts of shows because anything can happen. Red Velvet sure as smeg ain't winning the women's title. So let's have Christian win the Impact World Championship. I think it's a high possibility that Christian wins the Impact World title this Friday, tomorrow, in fact. And then All Out, it's title for title, so Kenny can win it back. Because really, like from the Impact side of things, you want an Impact person to dethrone Kenny Omega and get that title back under their own roof, basically. You want someone like a Sami Callihan, a Moose, a Josh Alexander to kind of get that belt off of them. So, but I do think that it is quite likely. Yeah, I think there's a high probability that Christian wins on Friday and then Kenny wins it back at All Out.
Yep, that's what I'm picking as well. I think that's a very interesting story because surely the AEW are smart. They know that no one is into Christian versus Omega. And it's weird because we're like, oh, it's a bad look. because it's just an ex-WWE guy going for the title. It's not like they haven't set this up. This is a story. Like it's a well-told, long-term story since Christian's debut back in March.
It was a revolution.
Yeah, so February. The day, like the Dynamite after he debuted, he had an angle with Kenny Omega where he essentially said, "I'm coming for the title." So it's not like this is from out of nowhere that they've just sort of brought out a part-timer, 50-year-old part-timer and been like, "And I'm having a title shot." This is something they planted seeds for nearly 8 months ago. The problem is, everyone wants the part-timer ex-WWE stars, which are Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, rumored to come into the company soon. Of course, Bryan's debut is meant to be slightly after All Out. That's later in September. The big name is Punk, who debuts, hopefully, possibly, maybe, there's a chance, next Friday in Chicago. I don't even think...
I'll be honest with you now. He better smegging debut on that show, because it doesn't start until 3 a.m., and you and I are watching it live.
He said he might be doing something far more important, which is a cinema screening of episode 3 of the Stars drama TV show Heels, which he stars in.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Or episode 3 of Stars.
But Tony Khan did also say, "Hey, we're all expecting it, though, aren't we? There's, everyone knows what to expect from that show."
The juice. Tony Khan's seen this. Of course, Khan watches this podcast. He's thinking New Punk Rants has ruined Tony Khan's perception of what draws. And now he's bringing the juice in.
Well, also, Tony Khan has to watch this show. It's part of the contract negotiations we had with him for the Khan coin, is that he has to watch this and add to our viewing figures.
Maybe we should only read out Omega chats over a certain amount of Khan coin. Unfortunately, the value of Khan coin. Yeah, the value of Khan coin fluctuates so volatile. Like it's so volatile price-wise, we can't keep that consistent. But yes, I think Punk's going to be the draw for All Out. It's in Chicago. We've said this forever. It's the Christian, whoever Omega faces on that card isn't going to be as important. Although I think they could have, why not have 2 amazing big-time matches on there? Why not have Page versus Omega?
Well, that was going to be my shout as well, yeah.
But I think in making it champion versus champion, interpromotional, but kind of not, is pretty damn cool and has made me excited for that possibility.
And here's the only problem that I would present to all of this, because what you just said then laid out makes complete sense, and I actually very much agree with it. Like I said, I'm pretty confident that Cage is winning the title this Friday. Title for title at All Out feels like a big deal. That's a thumbs up from me in a way. But going by the reactions that we have had on this show, the reactions that Denise and I have had from the Friday show, very few people, I would say, and I think this says a lot, not even Tempest is into the idea of Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the title at All Out. Tempest is from Canada. Like, he has to be a mark for Christian Cage. It's like by decree. And his debut in AEW was unfortunately slightly overhyped because it was the Hall of Fame worthy signee, and everyone thought that Christian Cage was a letdown. He was then, lest we forget, booed at Double or Nothing when it looked like he was going to win the Casino Battle Royal, and cheered when cheering for Jungle Boy because they wanted Jungle Boy to get the win and not Christian. And he's had good matches on Dynamite, but he hasn't been getting monster reactions that would be like, oh, and he's the guy we now need to push into the main event of this show. And you look at this segment here, he got a pop when he came out. The second he said, "I'm going for the title," people booed him. The only time he got cheered is because he did a swear. And then Jungle Boy's music hit, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus got a bigger pop than Christian did. So now he was 4th behind Danielson, Punk, and Page. Now he's 5th, maybe even 6th behind Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So is your 6th most popular guy on this show the one to go for your title on this show? And I totally get it. People are like, well, CM Punk is on the show. CM Punk's on All Out. He's going to overshadow everything. But I kind of echo what you said. Is like, So does that mean that you can just forget about every other match on the card then, because it's a one match card? Because that makes for a pretty cack show. I would argue, why not put on a really, really great show with lots of great things on it, and the CM Punk pop at the end is like the cherry on the cake. Like, surely that's a way to entertain fans as opposed to presenting stuff that people aren't into with the like, well, they'll pop for Punk at the end, so that'll make it all worthwhile.
We don't really know what the rest of the All Out card is. It's weird to be 3 weeks out from an AEW show and really not have an idea of most of the matches.
We got one.
Of course,
match.
We're going to get Cage versus Omega. That's been announced.
Yeah, we've got 2 matches announced thus far. Pac Andrade is the other one.
Oh, yes, is the other one.
Basically been announced. So those are our 2 matches we've got thus far. And I think probably Santana and Ortiz versus FTR, I guess.
But I think let's see where the chips fall over the next couple of weeks, because this all might be a swerve.
Well, that's it. That's what a lot of other people are saying, that there could be some swerve happening. They've got some big grander plan. And hey, dude, like AEW have done so much to show to me as a viewer that I put the trust into them. So yeah, like you could say that putting this as the title of this video as a mistake is clickbait or whatever you want to argue. I think you'd be wrong to argue that. But it is, I think you could also make the very solid argument that there's something to be coming. It makes me want to watch Friday's show. Because if Christian loses on Friday, because I don't think they'll do an F finish. Like I don't think they'll do a DQ or anything like that. I think that would be very poor form to kick off Rampage with that. So there has to be a clean finish. So either Christian wins or Kenny wins, in which case Kenny has pinned Christian like 10 days before his pay-per-view match for the title, which is also bad.
Let's see what you guys think. The Portuguese Mr. Davis. Hi, lads. Very good show. However, I didn't like that Christian just challenged for the Impact title from out of nowhere. What has he done to deserve that title opportunity? Didn't like it. Feel free to disagree with me. Just my opinion. Love you, boys. I quite I just thought it was cool. And, he said he had chats with Scott D'Amore or whoever it was.
That was it. It was like a Scott D'Amore, Tony Khan thing. And then like when Scott D'Amore was on the show later and he was talking about the people he'd like to see represent them as champions, talking about, putting over the Dark Order. I'd love to have them represent us as a tag team on Impact. So I think there was a kayfabe reason for it. But I agree with you. It was just sort of like from out of nowhere.
I didn't mind it. I thought, Christian's got that TNA lineage, used to hold the NWA title belt there, so not the Impact TNA one. I thought it was good. Anthony Velasquez, I would have done Cage versus Omega as a TV title match, not a pay-per-view match. Now he gets 2 title shots. I like Christian, but his run in AEW so far hasn't been the greatest. Also, Andrade versus Pac at All Out. Yes, please! Chris McIntyre. Hey guys, first time Omega chat. Love your work. I'd quite like Christian to win the Impact title to begin the Omega Elite decline and losing the titles, and as Kenny loses his mind, clinging to the AEW belt, Hangman returns and challenges and wins at Full Gear. What do you think of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are figuring that Hangman, once it was announced that he wasn't going to be in the world title match at All Out, which is what Dave Meltzer reported a few weeks back, I think a lot of people said, it'll be at Full Gear then. Knowing AEW, it'll be at All Out next year, because they'll find some way to stretch this out.
Deadpunk 1905. Hey guys, another fun as heck Dynamite that I had to watch on my phone again, had to work again, boo. I'm not as against Cage Omega at All Out as I once was, but it's still not Hangman. Those CM Punk chants were loud as heck. Roll on next week's Rampage, jam that jam. Matt Hennessy. The things I didn't like. 1. The Omega and Cage promo was great, but I'm not into it as a feud. It should be Hangman. I kind of hope Cage is kayfabe injured, on Rampage that way. Page, who had to drop out of the top 5, can get back into it. I don't think that works as a babyface way to get in. The other guy was injured. Plus, he'll be at the bottom, surely.
Well, I think that's what they're saying. I think he was have to work his way back up the rankings and do that across Dynamite and Rampage before he can get to All Out. But we're too close to All Out now.
Matt Hennessy again. Cage versus Omega reminds me of Autumn versus Batista at WrestleMania 30. The fans aren't into it, and Page is Daniel Bryan of the situation, the guy people actually want for the All Out main event. I love AEW, but this feels like a WWE move, pushing through and going for the match your fans don't want.
I would say I don't think it's a match that fans don't want. It's a match that fans aren't into. I think there's a slight difference there because, like, the match, I think the match will be really good. I don't think it'll be the 5-star match that Don Callis was touting about in the promo, but I think it'll be a really good match.
It's a match people don't want as the main event as one of their biggest shows of the year.
Yeah.
No, it probably won't be the main event. Yeah. Nate S. I trust AEW booking decisions and they usually deliver, but if they do end up doing 2 Christian Kenny title matches and Punk doesn't debut all in at the next few weeks, I'm nervous they'll lose a lot of support. Not me, but I don't know how I could defend it. The Punk things.
Has to.
Come on.
Has to.
Charles Berg, if it was WWE, I'd say strike while the iron is hot for Page, but that's because I have no trust WWE could do a long-term storyline. AEW has built up goodwill, so I'm okay with seeing where this goes. Hangman Arc isn't done, he's still afraid to disappoint people.
I think this is the other key to this. I think when, I say, like, I don't think people are into Christian versus Omega, people are like, well, you can't do the Hangman story. It's like, well, there are other options that people, there are other people on this roster that the fans are way into more than Christian Cage is. I think that's where the mistake lies, is that fans aren't into Christian.
Malachi Black, I think, is like one of the hottest guys. How so hot right now. Big Eye Courtiers. Christian as Kenny's opponent for All Out is such a letdown. Overall, Christian in AEW has been meh. I really don't get the hype for him at all. Bucks fan 818. Would I rather see Hangman versus Omega at All Out? Yes. However, I trust AEW to make Christian versus Omega more interesting and to also keep the Hangman story hot until Full Gear if needed. The intangible one, Cliff Beard. I don't think the Christian Omega match at All Out happens. I think that Elite take him out after the match on Rampage. Also can't wait for Sean Ross Sapp versus Denise and Wale versus Sam at All Out. Both my guys, not able to watch this live today. However, don't bank on Christian too much. Everyone check out Impact tonight. There should be something interesting happening there if plans didn't change.
So Dan has obviously read the Impact spoilers that they did from the last set of tapings, because he has been sending us Ultra Chats about something, which leads me to believe that Brian Myers has won something. And Dan's now very excited about that.
Cool. 10 Ruzza. Hey guys, as an Australian, thanks for the burial.
Because you buried their money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, yeah.
It's worthless.
You donate in US dollars. But just want to say there will be an angle on Rampage to eliminate Christian from All Out. And please book a Sam Roberts Wale show. Quizzlemania was incredible. Shoots for days. Go check that out on partsFUNknown. That was last night's Quizzlemania. Who won? I don't actually know that.
Oh, Tempest won quite easily. So, like, Tempest had it won after the first round, basically.
Damn it, Luke.
He got 4 out of the 5 on Price's Rubbish, rather than what the actual word was. And then there was a round. Then there was a round that was you had to, like, get closest to the match length. Like, you would put, like, Adam would put up a match and you had to, like, guess how long the match was. And Tempest got basically all of them right.
God damn it. Alpaca Nation 87.
Did you know that Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36 or whatever it was under 40 minutes?
Yes, I think I did.
Because I thought it was like 42 minutes or something, like 43 minutes. I mean, I wrote down 43
minutes. It was like
30,
38 or something.
Yeah, it was like 36 minutes or something. I wrote down 43 minutes in 5 days. But apparently it was, I couldn't believe it was under 40 minutes.
Alpaca Nation 87. I feel if next week's Rampage wasn't being washed over with CM Punk news and such, the Cage versus Omega match would be more well received. What if the screening is just a swerve set up by AEW Jam That Jam? So this is Punk saying that he might not be able to make it because there's a cinema screening of his TV show. That would be cool if they went to those lengths, but I think everyone knows it by now. No need to do that. That's an interesting point, though. If the Punk news wasn't there, no, I think people would still push against it because it's the Hangman Page stuff.
That's it. That's what I would say as well.
I'll just do a few more to finish off. Oh my God, we've had so many chats. I'll do all the ones on this topic. Marmalade Squeeze. I mean, it makes more sense for Marmalade. We are Lady Marmalade. Marmalade Squeeze. I mean, it makes more sense for Hangman and Kenny to have their blow-off match at Full Gear. It is where Hangman lost in the number 1 contenders match, where Kenny began his rise, and where Hangman lost himself. This is great storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, here's the thing is that the Full Gear match and doing it there, you're right, makes complete sense. I think what a lot of people have been saying to do it at All Out is because, strike while the iron is hot. And the iron was, look at that entrance for Hangman and the Dark Order a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
The crowd were dying to see Kenny versus Page. You don't know if you're going to have that same reaction guaranteed for Full Gear.
If the main event, the title match truly doesn't matter because Punk's going to be on the show, make it Omega versus Dante Martin.
Yeah, I mean, people were massively into Dante Martin on this show, more than Christian Cage, I would argue.
Dean Barretton, the issue I have is that the all-out match won't be the main event. Therefore, this will be the second pay-per-view Kenny hasn't been in the main event. If the match was against Page, it would have been the main event 100%. Kenny needs to be the centerpiece of AEW. Yes, I agree. Titles should go on last.
I also think that the Punk, they said like plans in AEW would change when Punk came in. I think that might be one of the plans that changed. Like if they didn't want Punk's debut to overshadow Page getting the title, not that I think it would, because I think people would be talking about all of the good things that happened on the show. Maybe they did to make the decision to delay it till Full Gear.
Chris Wagstaff. Kenny Christian twice in 3 weeks surely can't happen, right? It's either 50-50 booking and then we'll be due a rubber match, or one guy's going to get pinned twice in such a short space of time after being protected for so long. It doesn't seem an AEW move. Yeah, which is why I think we just need to watch it play out, really. Because they usually do the right thing. Or better. Stephen Guzman. My theory is Kenny beats Christian on Friday, which will lead Christian shot at All Out being challenged by Hangman, as Christian lost his place in the rankings now. Hangman wins when the Dark Order stops the Elite from interfering, as Kenny prefers a Christian Cage win.
The problem there is he won't fall out the All Elite Wrestling rankings because this is an Impact match, so it doesn't count towards their Impact. I don't think it does anyway. Point.
Christopher Jazzcat.
Hey.
Christian winning the Impact title is a great idea, but it will mean the Impact champ losing to the AEW champ on the pay-per-view. At this point, if AEW can't deliver CM Punk, they will lose a lot of the goodwill they've built up with the fans. Maki Ito Respect Army. And finally, for now, Donato Hunter. Hi, I obviously want to see Kenny versus Hangman more than Kenny versus Christian, but if the same show has a CM Punk debut and potential Bryan Danielson news, then I would be worried about the Hangman match being overshadowed. What if Hangman loses?
Also, can I, just to remind everyone, when people talk about WrestleMania X7, they don't just talk about that angle at the end. They also talk about all of the other great matches that happened on the card, and like the TLC match and things like that. Vince versus Shane. You can have more than one good moment on a wrestling pay-per-view card. It is allowed.
Totally agree. Please get all your Omega chats, into WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them over US dollars at the number 5. That's $5 US. Right. This full show. Oh, also subscribe. Do the subscribe thing now.
Yeah. Do you want me to show the thing again?
Show the thing. Show the thing to make them subscribe.
Showing this. Look at this. Look at this as like what you've got coming up next week.
God. Too much.
WrestleMania 50K live stream, the Raw review, NXT and SummerSlam predictions. It's Laurie versus Pete. We've got the AEW Dynamite review. Me and Ollie doing live reactions to SmackDown and Rampage. Starts at 1 a.m. British time. SmackDown on Saturday, SummerSlam reactions, SummerSlam review, NXT TakeOver reactions. But look at this. On Monday, 10 a.m. BST. It's a 12-hour stream. We are watching all of the WrestleMania Attitude Era WrestleManias back to back. That is 14 through to 17. We may have an optional goal there of WrestleMania X8 as well, which will make it a full 12-hour stream. But yeah, that is going to be a fun old time. Look at those 4 boys. Those 4 boys there, Ollie, myself, Adam, and Pete, are going to be watching it from the office together. We are all returning to the office. It's so excited. I didn't just get to the office, though, next week. I was actually in attendance for this week's show. Look, there I am, front row, watching the main event. How Thank old you, whoever that fan is. Oh, it's old. That's like early doors. First year, yeah. Yeah, like really early Ollie on YouTube. I think if you search Ollie Davis on
Google, it's one of the first pictures that comes up. So that's probably where they got it from.
It's a good picture of you, though. And yeah, and it's really awesome. Thank you so much for taking that sign to the show. I really appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, made me happy, especially because it's so close to my new best friend, MJF.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right, so this episode, Rich is asking if it's DX Solo.
Was it DX Solo? Put the picture back up. Bring that picture back up. Enhance.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
No. Bad call, Rich. Stupid suggestion. Right, so this episode of Dynamite started off with MJF cutting a promo backstage, setting up the main event, which was going to be the fourth labor of Jericho against Wardlow. And he, sort of was like, Wardlow's going to beat you. And then he turns to Wardlow and says, get this one done. Unlike the cage match against Cody, which of course Wardlow lost. And Wardlow's like, "Urgh!" And he breaks an apple in his hand.
Yeah, this was, it was a good promo by MGF to set up the main event. I actually really like that line. It's like, oh yeah, just like you did with Cody in the cage. I thought that was a really, really good line. A bit more dissension perhaps between Wardlow and MJF.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see this coming. MJF versus Jericho's on TV. It's not an all-out match. I would have put money that being an all-out match. So maybe the all-out match is Wardlow MJF.
Ooh, I don't know. I think that's a bit too soon. That's at least 4 years away. I can't believe we're now making fun of long-term booking. I'm so used to weekly booking.
We're so fickle as fans.
The opener was an extraordinary trios match. They really are calling them all trios now. I don't know if this has always been a thing, but I've certainly noticed it recently. They're never six-man tags, they're trios. It was Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, versus Dante Martin and the Seidel brothers. It was just a great match. And what was so exciting was that the last third was all Dante Martin. This really young, exciting prospect, part of Top Flight, of course, but his brother's injured, isn't he? That's why he's wrestling solo.
Yeah.
And it was just him and Kenny. There was about a minute period where they just had a singles match in the ring, and it was fantastic. The crowd was so into him.
Yeah, this crowd were like hot for this match anyway, because they're hot for Kenny and the Bucks, and the Seidels going in and doing their big flips and everything. Really got into. But this crowd came alive when Dante Martin got in the ring, particularly for his, flurry with Kenny Omega. Here is why Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world. Here is why I absolutely adore Kenny Omega. And I mentioned this at the Double or Nothing review as well. And why I think that Kenny Omega is better at this type of role than Roman Reigns is. When I watch a Roman Reigns match and people get near falls, I never truly believe that that Roman is going to lose. There were multiple times during this match where I thought Dante Martin's going to pin Kenny Omega. Kenny makes me believe that he could get pins. But never looks weak off the back of that. He always looks incredibly strong off the victory. It's just, they just slightly get a little slip on him. He's amazing at that.
Yeah. And what I liked is it was actually Martin who ended up taking the pin. And you're like, but you've got Matt Seidel's brother right there. Why isn't he taking the pin? It's his job. But actually, I think it works better because Dante Martin, he gets hit by the one-winged angel. It's not like he kicks out of that. Bloody hell, that would have been too much. But then they pick him up and they all hit the BTE trigger on him. And it's just it was almost like a mark of respect. Or this guy is a serious threat. So really good stuff.
Sorry, Callis was screaming on commentary. You can pin him now. Don't pick him up, just pin him now. And I think you're right. Maybe it is almost that mark of respect thing. Or actually, maybe it was just a bit of, you dick, trying to get some near falls on me. I'm going to beat you up even more now.
After that, we got the Elite started to cut a promo, and this is where Christian came down. We've kind of already covered this, but there are some just fantastic bits in this where Christian comes down and Don Callis is like, can you count, Christian? There's 10 of us and 1 of you. And there was 8 of them.
But he said that when he came out on commentary as well. When he came out, he's like, "Oh, I've never been part of a 6-man booth." And it's like, there's 4 of us. And Don Callis like, "I do the job of 4 men." And they were like, "That'd be an 8-man booth."
But he probably said that line to set up this line.
Exactly.
He is so good. And then he called Christian a Stamford stooge as well. Of course, Stamford is where WWE is based. So really, really good promo work. But it was Jurassic Express. They make the challenge for next week. So we're going to get Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks for the tag titles next week. Huge match. Cannot wait for that. And then the music, Jungle Boy's music started to play. Oh. And Kenny Omega stops the music, looks into the camera, seriously. Are you saying whoa or no? Like the Boo-Earns chat. So it really made me laugh out loud at 7 a.m. in an empty room. It
was so good. I proper loved that.
Yeah. Malachi Black got a pre-recorded promo. He is not in a cupboard, but he does have Cody's shoe.
He does, yeah. I mean, and do you know what? Like, it was a promo that it's a very Malachi Black or an Aleister Black promo that you would expect. But like, it feels like it's got substance now because he decked Cody last week. So it kind of feels like the promos feel like they're being backed up by something. What I hope now is that we don't get this for 7 months.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get a Black versus Buddy Murphy match end of August at All Out. I don't think you need to go back to the Cody one right away. A Miro promo for Rampage. He's excellent as always. He'll be facing Fuego del Sol on Friday, tomorrow, where if Fuego del Sol wins, if he beats Miro for the TNT title, he'll also get an AEW contract.
Yeah, we said that they might do a title switch on Rampage, and I said it sure as Smeg won't be Red Velvet. I think Fuego del Sol stands even less chance of beating Miro.
Then we got a kind of decent, but ultimately just their match because there's not really any storyline progression or anything. I think it's pretty much just to give Darby Allin something to do before a certain someone shows up next week, keep him fresh in people's minds. It was Darby Allin versus Daniel Garcia after their 6-man tag last week, and he won.
Yeah, it worked him over during the break, hit the coffin drop for the win. Pretty good. 2.0 were at ringside again. They attacked Sting, and then Sting and Darby Allin stood tall. I think that's kind of always been my problem with the Sting and Darby Allin tag team, is that they always stand tall. Like, they feel like the most protected tag act in the company.
Well, Sting is going to be wrestling next week. He's wrestling on Dynamite next week against 2.0, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is.
That's huge.
But surely as well, like if they haven't climbed the tag rankings, maybe they're going to face the Young Bucks.
Well, they're not having tag matches, are they?
They've had 2 of them. They had a pay-per-view, no less.
But one was a cinematic one.
Still counts.
I don't think so. I've got a note in my notes here that I obviously couldn't make work. It just said, do a bit where you keep thinking Sting is Danhausen. So if anyone can write that bit for me, I will start doing that. It's like, why is everyone going crazy for Danhausen?
I mean, it'd be so good, but like, I don't think people will pick up. Do you remember when you did this joke about 7 and you said spoilers for the end of Fight Club?
Yeah.
And people did not get that you were making a joke about that. People did not pick up on the subtlety of the joke. I think people would like flat out say, "Oh, Ollie, that's Sting. That's not Danhausen."
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll see if I can make it work. Speaking of jokes, my wife.
I'm very aware of her. Yes.
My wife came over to me the other day and said, "You don't listen to anything I say." And I thought, that's a weird way to start a conversation. The Lucha Bros are backstage with Andrade. No, they're not with Andrade. They're with Pac, and they're annoyed about travel stuff. So Pac says, "Oh, I'm going to challenge you, Andrade, for the right to book the Lucha Bros Ubers."
What happened here is that Death Triangle were essentially arguing over who's going to be the person that has a pop at Andrade, and Penta steps forward and be like, "I want to have this." I didn't pick up on this. It was actually Steve here that pointed this out on the old Twitter machine. Pac said this to Penta in Spanish to show that he is learning Spanish, so he can feel like he is part of this family. He doesn't need Alex Abrahantes to be like Penta says. It's like, I know what Penta said. But he said to the Lucha Bros, you guys should be going after the tag titles. So maybe it's the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros at All Out. But that's what he was saying. So, and then he said to Andrade, and I quote, "Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough." Which I loved as a line.
So we'll do, because later on in the show, Andrade and Chavo had a reply, which was, well, let's have a match at All Out then. So that's happening, singles match, Pac versus Andrade, as we've already covered. But in it, Chavo was like, and we'll see who really is the boss. And I like this presentation of Andrade and Chavo. They're wearing the suits. They do seem a bit more like your gangster family thing. Andrade is, of course, going to take that boss character. Poor QT Marshall. So I feel like this might be setting up either a few more luchadors are going to debut with Andrade, or the Lucha Bros are going to turn on Pac and side with him in this match.
Ooh, yeah, could do.
Because who's he the boss of? Otherwise,
all luchadors.
Then we got Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, and Chucky T taking on Matt Hardy and the Private Party. This was just a standard match that Hardy won.
Yeah, I think my if I was to have a little nitpick criticism in there, is that Nyla Rose ran down and attacked Chris Statlander, which is to set up the match that they've got later on, which is exactly the same spot that happened last week when Layla Hirsch came down to attack the Bunny to set up their match on the card. Yeah. It's uninspiring. If we did it last week, just run it again. But yeah, it was a fine little match. I enjoyed Orange Cassidy and Matt Hardy working together, and it was nice to see the Hardys actually pick up a win for once, because I don't feel that they do that very often.
Yeah, it's a bit mid-card and repetitive for me.
Very mid-card,
sort of. It's fun when it's on TV. You get, like, Orange Cassidy gets to do his spots.
But is that a bad thing that they have a mid-card and the mid-card feels like a strong mid-card?
I just feel like I'd rather some other things. Like, I'd rather Miro. I'd rather, like, where's Ethan Page? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's...
But Orange Cassidy has a draw. Thank you, Yanni Hamid, for becoming a member. Memberg. Of course, if you become a member to this channel, you get a little thing by your name, and you can watch video versions of our podcast intro and outros. They're all on this special features section. I
think producer Rich will be able to confirm this. I think they are our 101st member.
Ooh, thank you.
Maybe 102nd. But no, thank you so much. Really, really lovely seeing people become the members.
After that, we got the Andrade challenge, which was accepted. Santana and Ortiz got a video package, keeping that plate spinning. Then we got Chris Statlander versus Nyla Rose, which was actually pretty cracking, I thought. Statlander looked fantastic here. And considering how much Rose is protected, she was beaten pretty like spectacularly in under 5 minutes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think we're getting Statlander Baker at All Out, and I think they've been doing a lot to kind of like feature Statlander on TV, delay that Thunder Rosa match for maybe full year or something like that. Maybe even have Thunder Rosa
delaying it. Just keep delaying all the plans.
Well, maybe they'll do something with Thunder Rosa in the NWA Women's Championship, which she did say that she wants to try and win back. So, yeah, maybe you could do Statlander Baker, which I'd be massively into. I think that'd be really, really fun. And I thought the Statlander looked great. I like Nyla Rose. This was a fun, a short match with the Area 451 for the win.
It felt a bit like a Hoss battle, because it was just big move, like a sort of Paul Heyman template. I really enjoyed this match.
They did only have 5 minutes, so you've got to go in there and do the Paul Heyman template.
Jurassic Express stole a basketball from the Bucks and dunked a ball.
I like
Britt
this. It was really good.
Yeah, it was good. Britt Baker came out to a huge hometown reaction. She was a mega star here. They'd given everybody like scarves or towels or something, and they all like whipped them around their heads.
I don't think they gave them to him. I think it's a Pittsburgh thing, because I'm pretty sure I saw Baker, because Britt Baker knows who I am. So I think Britt Baker on Twitter posted up a video of Pittsburghians at a sports game doing
Steelers.
That with towels. Yeah. The Steelers, ice hockey and all that. Doing the towel thing, baseball and whatnot. And she said, make sure you bring all of those to Dynamite this Wednesday. So clearly it is like a Pittsburghian thing. I don't think it was something that AEW handed them out.
But it was entirely focused around the ring.
Yeah, I think it's because those are the hardcore Pittsburghian people.
But
like,
surely other people would have brought them if it wasn't a planted thing by AEW. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a great idea.
I don't think this was a planted thing. I think it's just what people in Pittsburgh do.
But more people would have done it outside of that rows number 1 through to row 10.
They were doing it all around the building.
I thought they were just doing it in that circle.
No, there was people around the building with them.
4 inches is a big difference.
They've never charged an AEW at an AEW show before.
Britt had a really good promo. She's so good now at being like this badass tweener. She's not a heel, but she's not a baby face either. She's just brilliant, very unique. And then she said that it's going to be her versus Red Velvet in the main event of Rampage, which is the first time the women have main evented, because Thunder Rosa technically was unsanctioned,
Technically,
yes, very cool.
I loved this because I'm not saying a particular company. I'm just saying that another company might have had Baker go out there, and because she is the heel, cut a heel promo on the crowd so that they get the heel reaction. But AEW, because she is like organically over in sounds. Oh, okay, there you go. So they were handed them out for the first few rows. I stand corrected. Like the man in orthopedic shoes, I stand corrected. But like, yeah,
might
they just
sort out the height difference as well.
Someone did send me a photo of two people, one of which was 6 foot and the other which was 6'4", and you could see the difference there. And I think people have completely missed the point that I was making. If everyone is those heights, no one feels special. That's what I was saying.
There's referees.
It doesn't matter. They're all the same bloody height. Anyway, I thought this promo was really great, and I'm glad that she didn't go heel on the crowds.
Yeah, it just shows like when you lean into a hometown crowd, it's so much better than actively working against what people want. Like you hate your own audience. Having said that,
really, they should have pinned her. To really get some of that heel heat.
I still don't think Red Velvet is the person who should be going here. For me, she's not featured enough. I don't really like. I'm looking at the rest of the roster, and there's so many other people that would make this more exciting.
Okay, well then I would ask you who?
Chris Statlander.
But if you do Statlander at the pay-per-view, then you've got to have a stepping stone before she gets to that point. And if Red Velvet is ranked number 1, then that's the person you go with. Because otherwise, what's the point of the ranking system?
Thunder Rosa, Ty Conti.
But you don't want to spunk away the Thunder Rosa match. Like you want to do that bit like later on if you're saving that for a big show.
I disagree. I don't think it's... Like you said, no one believes she's going to win.
No, but I don't think it's about whether or not she's going to win. It's about giving Britt Baker a big moment in her hometown. Sometimes, Davis, it's about the moments.
They had a pull apart brawl. Starks and Cage got a video package. Then we got the Good Brothers versus the Dark Order's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson for the Impact Tag Team titles. I was looking forward to this, and it was good. Stu Grayson is just superb. But a lot of it was in the ad break, and you only really got to see 5 minutes of action. It just was quite unfulfilling, I thought, unfortunately.
I enjoyed it. I thought Dark Order, I think, are great. I think Stu Grayson is awesome. Like, he's so good. And I really like the Good Brothers as well. I had fun with it. Scott D'Amore was on commentary as well. And I love Scott D'Amore. So, like, that was really fun, from Impact Wrestling. There was some heel shenanigans at the end, distracting the referee with Stun Gun by Carl Anderson and the Magic Killer on Grayson for the win. I think the key to this, and sort of like the story they're telling, is that it was only Colt Cabana that came out with them. There was no Reynolds, there was no Silver, no 10, no 5. It was just those guys. And they have now almost created this split in the Dark Order, which I think is a fascinating way to take the group.
We got a Camille versus Layla Hirsch video package for the NWA Women's title, which was fun to see.
Now, there's a height difference you can actually see.
That's only 4 inches.
Is it really? Wow.
No.
I mean... Of course it's not, because there's an actual height difference between them, because they're not the same height.
QT Marshall came out for an interview with Tony Schiavone next. Wanted an apology. Tony wouldn't give it to him. So Nick Comoroto just dragged Tony's real-life son, Chris, into the ring. And QT was like, well, apologize to me or I'm going to beat up your son. Tony's like, okay, I apologize. Too late. Hits the diamond cutter, not the stunner, like I weirdly said in the news. And who should come down to chase them away but Paul? Well, it's Paul White.
Yeah. You think we're getting a Paul White match at All Out?
Yes.
Yeah, same here.
Against who?
QT Marshall.
Oh, not against Tony.
Oh, man, could you imagine if it's Paul and Tony as a tag team against the Nightmare Factory? That I would watch.
That's what Jerry and JR would have done back in the day.
I love it. I love it even more now. Or maybe it'll be Paul White against all of the Nightmare Factory, because let's be honest, we're not pushing them. They're just a group of lads.
There was a story over the weekend. 4 more people have joined. I was like, what? I thought they broke it up. He chokeslammed Aaron Solo, which was cool to see. It's crazy. Like, who thought I'd want to see genuinely want to see a Big Show match in 2021?
Yeah, dude, I thought this was a fun little segment. Obviously, they had a Dan Lambert thing advertised, but it's been pushed back until next week. So, this was just there to kind of like fill that gap. Because like QT comes out and he's just like, after all the things that I've done to you, Tony, I was like, that one thing I think you did to them, which felt like a long old time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a bit out of nowhere overall, but it was fun. Fun defense. And the main event was the 4th Labor of Jericho, Chris Jericho versus Wardlow, with MJF in his corner. And that's it, really. I think, we're both of the opinion that the escalation of drama feels like it's been out of order, because the Nick Gage death match, the Hoovy match.
Well, I guess so. And I think part of the problem I've had with this is that I think there's been confusion over what the end goal of the labors were. By that, I mean, like, this actually came up on Quizlemania last night, and it was actually almost like a 50-50 split of people who thought that Jericho had to go through the 5 labors to get to MJF, and people who thought MJF was the 5th labor. And I'll be honest with you, when I watch this show week to week, I review this show week to week, I thought it was the latter. I thought he had to do the 5 labors to get the MJF match. As it turns out, we were wrong. MJF is the 5th labor. And we found this has happened throughout this bloody feud. Because last week, JR said that he was the referee, but he's actually just a ringside. It's not been particularly, and I agree with you as well, because it's like we had the chair thing with Sean Spears. Like, that felt like that was pretty standard. He's going to go through all the members of the Pinnacle. But then it was Nick Gage. Then it was Juventud Guerrera. So it's like, oh, okay, we're doing something a bit different with this. Well, no, then we're just going back to a Pinnacle member. And then he's just facing MJF on TV. And it really feels like this has been taken off the boil.
It's like in AEW's mind, and I totally understand this, Wardlow is enough of a force himself. Like, he is the stipulation. He is a death match. He kicks out of a code breaker in the first minute at 1, which was a great spot, and then he works over Jericho for the whole match. But just like, what gets me is MJF's in control here. So MJF can make it as hard as he wants. He can make it a handicap match against Jericho.
He did make it as hard as he could. He was at ringside.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's like, I just felt, and blindfolds. Like, where would you stop? And the problem is, like, the only reason I'm thinking this far out the box is because you've already had the death match with Nick Gage. Like, where do you go from there? So, anyway, it was a fun match. It was pretty dramatic. The crowd were a bit dead when Wardlow was just working Jericho over. But MJF tried to get involved. He was ejected to the back. While the referee's back was turned, Jericho used Floyd the Bat, hit Wardlow, then a Judas effect to win.
Yeah, there was a bit of miscommunication, I think, between Jericho and Wardlow because, like, Wardlow was distracted by Aubrey and MJF being ejected. Then he turned and walked back to Jericho, and Jericho was quite audibly shouting at Wardlow not to come over yet. So Wardlow had to go like, "Oh no, MJF, Aubrey, no!" and sort of walk back and
fix my cool hair.
Then he came back and he hit him with Floyd. So it wasn't the smoothest of endings. Yeah, it was totally fine. Wardlow looked pretty cool because he did like the whole big powerbomb spot thing and he kept powerbombing him over and over again. That was pretty rad. So, but next week MJF, it is a match. It's Jericho and MJF. I think it's on TV next week. Am I wrong in that?
No, that's a pretty stacked show next week. You've got the tag title match, Sting's in there, and MJF versus Jericho.
And the key to it is that he can't come out to Judas, his entrance theme, which I think is there to set up so that the crowd can sing it for him.
That'll be cool.
He can't use the Judas effect as a finish.
And if he does use it, MJF automatically wins. Yeah.
Prediction. He does it behind a referee's back and gets the win. So MJF can be like, "You broke the rules," and stand the other.
Setting up the pay-per-view match.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and also Sammy Guevara.
That's what I love in wrestling, is when you do a match that sets up the same match for a pay-per-view. Love that.
But without a stipulation.
Exactly.
Sammy Guevara ran him to save a Sean Spears beatdown thing, and so did Hager in all of this. The whole Pinnacle Inner Circle thing does feel like it's fallen to the wayside, so maybe that will come back into it. But yeah, overall, I thought this was pretty average by AEW standards. Fun show, flew by, loved the wrestling, 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, same score as Raw, right? So I very much enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed this show. Thought it was a lot of fun. The Christian Cage thing I don't think is particularly working. And I think a lot of things feel a bit directionless until Punk shows up. That's almost like, I feel like that's what Dynamite is just waiting for. I feel like we're basically just counting down the days until next Friday, which has kind of put the company on hold a little bit. I don't know. Like, maybe that's just me, but do you know what? We're kind of out of step with this because 54% of our community thought that it was a 4 out of 5 awesome show. 16% thinking it was 5 out of 5 all of these. 24% thinking it was a 3 out of 5 show.
All the power to them. Well, we've got to do our Patreon Hall of Fame. Thank you very much to our $25 a month or more backers. Spoke in class today, Jeremy Smith.
Vincent Vega Garcia.
My Immortal is my favorite song, Mashy.
The man who wears the gold, the man recognized by SWAF Nation International as the 24/7 champion, our legend.
Yanni Zayn Hamid.
Who just became a member, I believe. The big bad dog, Ryan Henson. Or Hansen even.
Wasting away via trophy.
Or is it atrophy?
Atrophy.
Marmalade. Dive, Dylan Cachetta.
Jonathan, the Headmaster Headman.
Peter Fiber Brauntas.
Living in the Past, Kieran Pryor.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class on the 12th of August 2021, the Craftsman Blake Carpenter.
Oh, a new one. Thank you. Last call for the Omega Chats, WrestleTalk.com/support. Get them in there. Everyone over $5 will be read out before the end of the stream. Super Chat Party says, Christian loses to Omega and it pushes him down the rankings. Hangman on a winning streak. Jungle Boy loses in tag, falls down card. Hobbs loses to Brian Cage and falls. Darby is facing Punk. Khan decides number one contenders match between Orange Cassidy and Hangman. Rankings.
So, rankings, yeah. And I think that's, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people losing there, but yeah, I mean, maybe. We've got to get him to full gear at some way, I guess.
Keith Lloyd. Tony Khan has everyone in the palm of his hands right now. Cage wins the Impact title but gets hurt and gives his AEW title shot to Page. Also very excited you guys will be doing Rampage reviews. Jam that Smeggin' Jam. Oh, no.
Yeah, we
have just live reactions for the first one.
Yeah, just like
for the second one.
We're doing live reaction to the second one. We aren't doing reviews to it. Yeah, we're going to judge the feeling amongst the audience and decide what we're going to do. I don't know, dude. I'm not a fan of Christian Cage just handing Adam Page the title shot. Like he lost his chance. He's now got to earn that chance back, as opposed to just someone else handing it to him.
It'd be unsatisfying. Dana Holland, the Christian Impact title shot might be a way to get Christian out of the all-out title shot and replace him with someone else. I think Christian should win, for your information. Dana Holland again. Christian is viewed as an Impact guy. Also, some time for him on Impact would be good. He had a storied career on Impact. TNA.
I don't think anyone thinks he's an Impact guy. I think everyone sees him as an ex-WWE guy.
Christopher Jazzcat. I love me some Kenny Omega, but for my money, there's no way he can touch Kazuchika Okada as the best wrestler in the world. Together in the ring, they were magic, though. On Dante Martin. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, Dante Martin. The kid is a star. Love the small touch in the finish that Kenny didn't want to even risk it for Dante potentially kicking out of the one-winged angel. Pulled him up for the BTE and V-trigger combo. And Jose Bautista. Dante frickin' Martin. AEW speciality is making someone look great even in defeat. No 50-50 booking, no distraction roll-up, and no DQ finishes. Luke?
This company! In fact, producer Rich messaged us at the start of the stream to say that he watched Dynamite with a casual fan last night who described Dante Martin as, quote, magical.
Yeah. Nick Corvello. In regard to Britt Baker, her hometown reaction is just an amplified version of the reaction she's already getting. Excuse me. AEW need to give up trying to present her as a heel and keep her personality while having her feud against heels and aligning with faces. Yeah, good classic tweener booking. Hutch Army. Hey lads, got to go to my first AEW live show last night and it ruled. The pop for Britt was insane and the crowd was super into the main event. Love the opener too. What would you guys think of Statlander versus Baker at All Out?
Into it. Very much into it. 2 people on a hot streak. Go for it.
James Hanley. I have a meeting and won't be able to watch the podcast live. My wife and I were there last night. We sat front row and were next to the timekeeper's table. Made it on TV with the custom WrestleTalk Jam That Jam face mask my wife made. Britt's pop was our high point. Oh, I didn't see that. Awesome.
No, I didn't see that either.
Kevin May. Tony looking like a proud dad to Britt genuinely had me a little bit emotional. So there seems to be some hints at factions for the women's division. Would this help give it the boost it really needs? Finally, 4 words. Dante frickin' Martin, wow.
I said this last week. I think the women's division needs, like, if everyone else is in faction warfare, I don't know why the women are only just part of men's factions. I don't think they also have enough women to kind of like make it work. But, you know, I think I think it would certainly help.
Why can't we just have people factions, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, well, you're right, but they are just like they're fella factions. I loved Britt Baker did a promo, did an interview recently where she said that she would never turn on Tony Schiavone, but she might turn on Jim Ross. Oh, that was very good. Nick Corvello says, "Hey, Ollie and Luke, I think we should talk about the real controversy of this episode. Why were the face heel entrance tunnels flipped? I can't tell if the Elite entered the wrong tunnel and the show just went with it, or if it's a canonical change this week."
I did not notice that.
Neither did I, but I feel like I'm very bad at focusing on. Yeah. It was easier in Impact Wrestling. They were on other sides of the building. Sorry, could they keep the Dark Order internal struggles going until Rochester's show, end of September? Have -1 reunite them for a massive emotional moment that I think we all need for Mr. Brody Lee. I'm getting chills just thinking about the pop.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
About the right timeline as well.
I think it would do as well. Yeah, and like with Brody from being from Rochester, like that's almost the perfect place to do something with the Dark Order. Matt Hennessy, I loved this AEW show. I do have a few complaints. 4 out of 5 show. The good one, I loved the opening tag match. That Martin kid is going to be a star someday. Solid win for the Elite. I enjoyed the Allen match, and the post match made me laugh. The Hardy Family Office versus Best Friend match was great, and the Elite and hands in pocket spot between Hardy and Cassidy was great. I'm all in on them feuding. I'm looking forward to Pac and Andrade. It should be a great match at All Out. Baker and Black were great promos. Man, Baker is a star. A solid tag match between the Dark Order and the Good Brothers. Wardlow versus Jericho was great, and at one point Wardlow had the match won, but MJF demanded he keep beating Jericho up. Finish protects Wardlow and makes Jericho look like a smart babyface. The bad. I like Cage, but I wish they did the AEW World Title match on Dynamite or Rampage. Rosa and Statlander just don't feel like it mattered. And outside of the Baker and Thunder Rosa, AEW haven't made many stars in the women's division. I think you meant Rose and Statlander there at the start there. And I'm not into QT even so slightly. And while I'm somewhat interested in seeing Big Show wrestle, I have no interest in seeing QT on television. He has Baron Corbin change the channel heat from 2019. With the complaints I've made, I just want to say that it comes from a good place. I would disagree that QT Marshall has changed the channel heat because I don't think people care enough. People hated Baron Corbin to the point where they wanted to turn over. QT's just there.
I like QT, but I'm a big Sopranos fan. Matt Hennessy, by the way, that was a lot of money you just gave over individual chats. So thank you very much.
In various forms of currency as well. So thank you very much. Emma Bond, since one of my favorite wrestlers and fellow trans woman Nyla Rose wrestled last night, I have an announcement and a joke. My orchiectomy is scheduled for April. Scary surgery. It really takes balls.
Way like that.
Manners. I'm not sure if I said that right. I hope I did. Nate S. I'm hoping over the next few weeks of Dynamite and Rampage, we get some huge angles, as right now the card for All Out hasn't been really developed. Maybe it will be Sammy MJF at All Out. Luke, you said you quit things that are no good at. Explain Castlevania. Hey, Nate S. Do you see me playing Castlevania? Haven't played it since Screenstalker, so clearly I gave up on that as well. Took me 30 years, still can't do it. I'm actually playing Symphony of the Night at the moment because that game rules. Stephen Guzman, I'm 99%. I'm crazy, but when Darby Allin came out, his entrance was somewhat similar to CM Punk's. He had a hood, smacked his arm on the ground like CM Punk came out, and would say it's clobbering time. I just need Punk to debut because I'm losing my mind. Bobby G, I mentioned this on the Fightful post show, but definitely want to see your guys' take. Daniel Garcia joins Daniel Bryan and begins the building of the American Dragon Dungeon. Also, would like Angelico and Jack Evans in there as well. What are your takes on that?
I really like that. Not initially, but maybe 6 months into Bryan's debut.
SD Jones, do you think the fact that AEW tends to keep certain people off TV for stretches makes them feel more important when they do show, makes them feel like bigger stars? FTR, Hager, Rosa, Christian, etc.
I don't think they've got the balance right. I think they maybe having 2 shows will help this. Their roster's too big for 2 hours a week.
It is big. Yeah, it's a big old roster at the moment. And they're just going to add to it. Tenduchi, I really like AEW, so I'm going to criticize it. I have no interest in Omega versus Christian, let alone twice. The Elite should sell less. Stop going to ads in the middle of a segment. They did the exact same segment for the women's division. No need to pin Wardlow. Thanks. Second Omega chat, why not bring Punk in for the beginning while the crowd is hot and have Kenny main events? I wonder about
for the pay-per-view. Yeah.
I mean, you could do that, yeah, but have Punk as the opening match as opposed to the main events. It is his first match back in 7 years, though. I think it probably should be the main event of the show. But yeah, I disagree on the Elite should sell less thing, though. I don't buy into that at all. Bucks fan 818, question for you guys: if Miro isn't arrested for the murder of Fuego del Sol on Rampage, what would you like to see him do it All Out? Personally, I like to see an open challenge answered by Colt Cabana in Chicago.
That's fun. I don't know. This is one of the problems. Like the chat just there said, a lot of the card for All Out is you just can't see where they're going with it.
Particularly as well, like Tax's super chat, ultra chat says this as well. there aren't many people that believe it's actually going to be Christian versus Omega at All Out. Like Texas says here, apparently Jay White is announced for an indie event in Chicago on the 21st of August. Feels a bit weird for him going around Chicago doing indies at the same time as AEW big shows, right? What if it's him versus Kenny at All Out? Absolutely. And this is what, like, people, criticize us for titling this video. Absolutely no one buys this as a title match at All Out. Everyone is doing everything they can to suggest other matches that could go in its place. Not a real doctor in training. Maybe MJF versus Jericho matches on TV on the 18th, so we can get MJF versus CM Punk as early as Rampage on the 20th. Allows MJF to come out to Cult of Personality. Any plans for regular Rampage reviews? The MJF coming out to Cult of Personality thing, I think, is a great rib. I think it would be a really good way to kind of like get heel heat from the crowd. You can't, as much as I love it, you need to have Punk come out to that song first. Because you're only going to get that pop once. Like, you're only going to get that Cult of Personality pop once, like for the first time. That has to be Punk.
Yeah, I agree. For the Rampage review, we sort of already mentioned it. Tempest is going to do a Rampage review like he does for NXT in the Saturday News episodes with Pete. But as of right now, we won't be doing anything else because, we work quite a lot and we do need weekends.
Raygon 411, I think it's telling that we haven't seen a match graphic for the All Out World title and reserving judgment until it's properly revealed.
It's a cage-spiracy!
Excellent. In all fairness, they haven't done anything for Pac Andrade either, and that match is basically confirmed. XN Helio, can't wait next week when we get the debut of Keith Apicary on Dynamite. WrestleTalk throwback.
You joke, but he was on America's Got Talent and got millions and millions of views. So Keith Apicary is amazing.
Yep.
He's an awesome guy. I was ahead of the time.
You were ahead of the, you were right all along, and people did not see your vision. I did, though. Sean Costello, do you guys think that Fuego is secretly already signed and AEW are just waiting to give fans a big feel-good moment eventually, not necessarily against Miro, given how over he seems to be and how he's always around in some capacity?
Yeah, maybe. They seem to sign everyone, so I don't know why Fuego wouldn't be.
Nate S. Black is known to have subtle clues as to who his next target is in promos, and he was speaking about someone who was loud and always talking and then drops that he's arguing with God. Is he coming for Miro? Yes, please. I'm all in on the House of Black.
I like that.
Rick Jarrett, I know it's off topic to this stream. I don't think it is. But has anyone noticed the darkness around Malachi Black's bad eyes seems to be spreading with each appearance? Possible influence of a deeper evil. Love the stream, guys. I'm really looking forward to Monday.
Yeah, it's definitely getting larger, like it's taking over his face. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that because he's only got so much face left.
Stephen Duggan says all out card predictions. It's Punk versus Allen, Omega versus Cage, Mox versus Tanahashi, Miro versus Guevara, Bucks versus Varsity versus Lucha Bros. I don't know why the Varsities are in there. Pac versus Andrade, Baker versus Chris Statlando, Show versus QT, the Battle Royal. Be honest, I could handle Hangman taking his time coming back. That card is worthy of banging some powder, surely. I think you're pretty much on, like Moxley Tanahashi. I think is pretty much a lock. I think it is going to be Baker Statlander. So yeah, I that's a very, very good card. But you say that though, but you need to have a terrible card because you're just doing the Punk thing. So why bother with the rest of the card? That's what I've been told. Kevin, why is MJF the fifth labor? Why the stipulation? Why next week? This feud has so much potential, but it's become stale.
Yeah, it just hasn't fulfilled the initial promise, has it?
Pandule say, huge Dark Order fan, love the story they've been telling while juggling all the other plates. If you've not seen the latest BTE, the Hangman Dark Order skid was amazing, legit had me in tears, really caught me off guard. Go and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jostad, Vicky Guerrero uses Screech. It's super effective. Austin TH, so I'll be at the Houston show next week. Stacked show, so I'm hyped. One detail I think people missed, they announced Sammy versus Spears with Sammy having an announcement. I think he's going to challenge Miro at All Out. And JT the Flash said that opening match was really good in storytelling. It kept the attention of my 3-year-old son. He let out a sad cry when all three hit Martin. Love this company. I was a WWE lifer, but no more. Thank you, AEW. And I will hot tag back to you.
Tenruzza, Do you guys think that Impact with Christian and other stars like that will be able to get Impact decent live audiences when they tour again? I can't wait for Resurgence as well. Again, can't wait for Rampage to start. I think, if you've got names like Kenny, those are drawing, like they're huge draws to put on a live gate. But I don't think it will change the TV ratings that much.
I also agree. Do we know if they're touring?
Yeah, they haven't. I haven't heard anything yet. Apparently, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae are expecting a child.
That's great.
Well
news.
done.
Well done.
Well done for reproducing. Yes. It's not Handmaid's Tale yet. Hannah Allen. Hey guys, now it's not that sweet Khan coin or USD, but have some stinky Australian dollars.
Oh, rubbish.
Right.
No.
I totally had the option to donate in another currency, but I decided I'd shower you in 7 Australian dollars instead. It's loose change, so extra stinky. Lots of love. Jam that jam.
It's not coins, is it? Are you making it hail?
Ghostface 1999, I purchased a Dance Chopper t-shirt and I made a banner that said support WrestleTalk, then the pandemic hit. Don't be surprised when AEW comes to Toronto, Canada, and I wear an outdated WrestleTalk shirt where I'm sitting on the first row. Alpaca Nation 87, Tempest doesn't know what's good though. He hates the hottest thing in NXT, Dexter Loomis. He's a divisive character. And again, don't know about everyone else, but Ollie singing Lady Marmalade would be sure to get over 80 million subscribers. That's how we beat WWE. Liam Craig, I just want to say I popped so hard when I saw the big Ollie Davis AEW debut. Yep, I'm signed now. I just have to beat Miro next week. And finally, Callum Brennan. Sorry, Ollie, I side with Luke. 4 inches doesn't make a difference in height. All those guys seem the same to me too. By the way, Quizzlemania was bloody brilliant last night. And we've just had one more come in. Rangers Mayhem. I can see Black versus Miro for the TNT title at All Out. Major surprise. Would the lights go out and Murphy and Brody King from ROH to round out the House of Black? I would also love to see Fake Sting to show up next week for the 2.0 BTE joke of the week. Yeah, so 2.0 thought he was Jeff Farmer. See that?
Good. That's so amazing.
Funny. Well, thank you, everybody, ever so much for joining us today and for all your very generous Omega chats. You floor us with your generosity. And thank you, AEW, for being bloody brilliant consistently all the time. You make my weeks, Tony. Thank you.
And thank you. Go on.
Are they singing what? Or no?
Well, I tell you what they are saying, because I want to say thank you to everyone that has watched the podcast over the last 18 months where we have been in lockdown and isolation. We have been opposite sides of computer screens. And thank you. If you're watching this live, you're part of history, because unless things go nipples north, this is the last lockdown podcast that Ollie and I will be doing together. As of next week, we are back in the studio, back together again like renegade masters on the set with all the lights, all the pomp and circumstance, not talking over each other, no delay. It should be a really, really fun time, because the last one we did in person was an AEW stream. It was the show where Matt Hardy and Brody Lee debuted. So kind of nice for us to end on an AEW review as well. But I wanted to thank you all for sticking with us during this, because I know it's not been quite the same, but I think we've adapted pretty well to it.
Jam that jam.
Jam that jam. We'll see you next week. 50K
Get this
celebration
mic out
day.
my face.
Also tomorrow, Grand Pooh Bear's on the show with me and Denise. Love that guy. Jam that jam. We can do this. We can actually fist bump for real.
Oh wow, I have to have gloves on.
Fist me for real.